Random questions. Do you believe there was hell on Earth?
Just again, I feel like I'm living in a madhouse, and I'm sure most of you can relate as well. Life's Randomness, thank you so much for the huge super chat. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. That's so nice of you. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much, everyone. You guys are... I really appreciate that, guys. Life's Randomness, what should we do for you? Let's do... what should we do for Life's Randomness? What should we do? What should we do? Let's do some Fallen Angels in the chat. Dane says I'm more than half insane. I'm more than half insane. Thank you. Well, there you go. Let's see. Ryan says I didn't realize how stupefied the nation was until my mid-30s. Jeez. I remember growing up and being very confused at not only how, and then by the way, Life's Randomness, thank you again, and we have the Fallen Angels going in the chat for you. Really appreciate it. Thank you again. I just want to emphasize that. Thank you. Thank all of you guys. All of you so much. What was I saying? Oh yeah, I remember growing up and just being absolutely shocked, not even at the stupidity of humanity, but how little effort people go in actualizing themselves. They just pick the path of least resistance. They do the bare minimum. They just do what, you know, it's again,
do you believe there was another book about God?
You know, I was legitimately confused when I started to get older in my late teens or early 20s, and I just saw how little work people did on actualizing themselves. And this is really important because life is about creating yourself and taking what is inside and externalizing it and working on yourself.
That's what I thought.
And it's kind of like you're playing, you know, let's say you're playing an RPG or something, and everyone's only at like level 1 or level 2. It's just a really boring game. It's really boring. And it could be so much more interesting, so much more vibrant, so full of fantastic characters and brilliant creations and so much. But people are lazy and blind and dumb.
Do you believe there was another book about God?
Hey, Pucha Rovira, I appreciate it.
Do you believe there's another book about God? Look at this. Oh, I didn't know that. Oh.
Let me make sure. Okay, so Lisa, thank you for the stars. I want to make sure I'm not missing anyone. Courtney, thank you for the stars. And Debbie, thank you. And BJ Godfrey, thank you. BJ says, we come from nothing. Agreed, but how did nothing come with knowledge to create and how to create? So, we might talk about this a little bit today. I don't know. It depends how much time we have, because I always go way over time. So it depends how much time we have. So you have to remember that in Hyperianism, the idea is nothingness is not the same thing as non-existence. So in Hyperianism, this is a mathematical reality. So nothingness is equivalent to 0. And 0 is equivalent to everything. And the reason why 0 is equivalent to everything is because if you take every single number, you can understand it in a simplistic way. If you take every single number in perfect balance, you have, you know, for every positive number, you have its opposite negative number. So when you have every positive number paired with a negative number, its total result is 0. So when you have a mathematical reality that results in 0, it means that you have every single number. Now, we're going to know that numbers are actually translated as frequency patterns, sinusoidal waves. But, you know, that's a little... We might talk about that later. But anyway, if you just think about it in that way. So nothingness is a container of an infinity of information, an infinity of potential information. And so this information, okay, I'm going to have to skip some steps to because of time considerations, but this information is in motion as well. And the reason why it's in motion is because it's logically possible for it to be in motion. It doesn't violate any logical law. It doesn't violate it resulting in 0. So this information is basically it's transforming in a way that these patterns are interacting with each other and gaining in complexity. And this is because you said, how did it come with knowledge to create and how to create? So it's not a conscious being. It's not like some god that goes, oh, well, let's create Earth now. It's what it is it's all of us together in an unconscious state. And in an unconscious state, we still have experience, but we don't have explicit self-awareness. So we're still alive in the sense that we're experiencing, in the sense that there is motion. But it's just an unconscious process of a combination of structures. And these structures form and collapse, form and collapse. The stable structures persist, and the structures that collapse, they collapse. They're no longer, they do not persist.
Okay.
And so you have the persistent structures combining with other persistent structures that form even higher persistent structures. And this is basically the dialectic at work, which is, okay, I'm trying to keep this short. It's a process of a clash of opposites that leads to higher synthesis, and essentially, long story short, this is the Big Bang, and this is evolution. This is the years and years and years of evolution. Eventually, consciousness arises. Consciousness on Earth arises in human beings,
but it's God's Earth.
And then, at some point, when humanity steps into hyper-awareness, they realize that they are the ones that created all this. And that's the whole point of Hyperianism, is giving humanity the tools to step into hyper-awareness, to go from just, mere self-consciousness to hyper-awareness, so that we can begin constructing the world with that knowledge in mind and be able to construct vast new societies and technologies and, just improvements of all kinds, well beyond what humanity can currently imagine, because humanity has no idea what they are, where they are, or why they're here. So anyway, nothingness is everything, and it doesn't have explicit knowledge, like self-aware knowledge on how to create. Creation is just a necessary consequence of its structure. It's a structure in motion that's interacting with itself, and it necessarily forms higher and higher structures.
Okay.
So good question. Chidi, thank you so much for the stars. Says, hi, Morg. Love the videos and topics discussed. Thank you so much. I'm glad that you like it. I like your name, by the way. That's a really cool name. Let's see. Davester, thank you so much for the super chat. Says, have you ever read the Metamorphosis? If so, what are your thoughts on it? Is that the book by Kafka? Or am I thinking of something?
Do you believe that's a social?
Or am I thinking... Yeah, by Kafka. Is that the one you're referring to, the Metamorphosis by Kafka? Yes, I have read that. I read it a very long time ago. And what do I think about it? It's been a very long time since I've read Kafka and the Metamorphosis, and I believe, trying to recall, it's been a while. Like I said, it was a work that was a sort of symbolism or allegory for existential philosophy, in which this individual wakes up and he's suddenly a giant bug instead of a human, and it's a story about just his life is being transformed into this bug and trying to do different human things in the form of this creature. And again, like I said, it's been a very long time since I've read this book, but I remember it being very interesting and having a lot of very interesting themes with regard to existentialist philosophy. But I probably read this when I was 12, 13, so my memory is not too good on the details. Yeah, that's true, Ryan. We only have Aristotle's lecture notes. It's and apparently he was highly engaging, but his lecture notes were dry, and so we don't even really know what his true writing style was. Okay. Make sure I'm not missing anything here. Keith Thomas, thank you for the stars. Says, hello, first timer here. I'm glad you could join us. Welcome, Keith.
Do you believe God's service was... That's a good question. Do you believe God's service was serious as the Christian charter? Without the mall. Without the mall charter.
Yeah, I agree, Mr. Krotos, says being on a path of actualization, battling for your own truth, while also seeing the blindness of the world is difficult and distracting, to say the least. And you're exactly right. It can be very difficult and very distracting, and that's why it's important to have a strong community to be able to back you up and be there for you, and that you can relate to. So I definitely understand. Courtney Phoenix, thank you so much for supporting on Patreon. Really appreciate that, Courtney. Thank you so much. So you've unlocked, what did you get? You get weekly secret live streams in our hidden Discord server at the Citadel. Thank you so much, Courtney. I really appreciate that. And I'll put a link in the comments if anyone else wants to support on Patreon. Once again, if you choose all the cheapest options, it's only $5 and it helps, it's the best way to support my work. And, hey, thanks, HB2. And let me put your name up on the board, Courtney. If you're just joining us, by the way, remember we... you're not too late. We haven't started our main topic yet. Let me do Courtney. All right, let's see. Yeah, alright. Just about ready to start today's topic. Not quite yet, but just a few more minutes. Let's see. We're talking about the hidden truth about sacred geometry. It's going to be really good, and it's definitely going to be information. If you've never heard of sacred geometry, or you've heard, or if you're very well studied in sacred geometry, either way, this is going to be a lot of extremely important information. I'm excited about this topic. Renovato, thank you for the stars. And Mark, thank you so much for the super chat. Says just want to show some support. Sorry, it's not more. Don't be sorry. You don't have. I appreciate it. You don't have to do anything. But I really thank you so much. That means a lot, Mark. And yeah, definitely. Don't worry. I appreciate it, and don't feel like you have to. Thank you so much. Okay. Let me see. All right. Let me look at the chat here. See if we have any questions. Hey, Johnny, thank you for the stars.
Do you still go to church?
Sorry, I'm getting distracted. There are always so many notifications going on. Alright, let me pay attention here. Oh, Lethal Fairy Tale. Nice. Says, I don't know if you remember, but I drew you the other day, and I appreciate your like and comment. Yeah, I believe you... Yes, it was me swallowing swords and whatnot. Things like that, right? I believe yeah, if that's the one I'm thinking of. Yeah, really good work. You're very talented. That's awesome. I appreciate it, too. Eden, thank you for the stars. And Johnny, thank you for the stars. Yeah, Stephanie, I'm glad that you found my work as well. And thanks for your support. I appreciate it. There's always so... I'm trying to find... If you have a question that you've asked, ask it again, because the comments go by so fast. And usually, especially on Facebook, there's a lot of great questions, but then they get buried by nonsensical bullshit. So if you ask the question, please ask it again, because I saw so many good ones, and now I'm just flooded with a ton of strange nonsense. McDonald, thank you for the stars. I appreciate it. It says sacred geometry is the same as Fibonacci spirals or something else. So it depends. Sacred geometry can be about Fibonacci. We're going to be specifically talking about the Platonic solids today. We might talk about the Fibonacci and the golden spiral and all that. We might get into that. So Oliver says, hi Morg, I heard it's spiritually helpful to look at sacred geometry drawings. What do you think about that? I think for some people, possibly. We're going to take a look and see today that we're going to be talking about how to go much deeper than just sacred geometry. So we're going to be talking about that today. Now, for some people, I think it can be helpful. I know that there are some books out there that talk about the mathematical nature of reality, and then they have exercises you can do drawing these different shapes, and it's not like magic or anything like that. Basically what it is just getting individuals to understand sort of how beautiful geometry is and how it relates to being a structured system, and how, trying to get people to see the correspondence between something like structured geometry and molecules, atoms, and all the different structures that we have all around us. So, I mean, I would not recommend it. I mean, it's not something I would say, oh yeah, everyone should go out and, stare at these things. But I could see how it could be beneficial for some people that are perhaps at an early stage of their understanding, that are more of an intuitive nature. It could be. It's not something I would particularly recommend, but it could be. Hey Arjun, nice to see you. Glad you could join us. Good question. So X the Skrillex says, when the universe resets, will we still have all the experiences within us from the previous universes, or will all previous information get lost forever? Right, that's a very good question. So, I mean, short answer is we don't know. There's two possibilities here. Either we're in this current universal cycle, and at the end of the universal cycle, the omega point, there's sort of a memory wipe, and we start all over from the beginning again. We don't do the exact same pattern, but we start from that state. Now, there is a possibility that perhaps just like there are universal cycles, there could be a cycle within a cycle, in that we're going a higher level up, in that not like a new kind of universe or something like that, but there just might be, and this is very hard for me to explain real quick because it's a very complex topic that goes beyond what we normally talk about here, but there might be a cycle within a cycle, and if there is a cycle within a cycle, then there is a possibility of information being carried over and something being worked on in that way, perhaps like building an optimal universe or something like that. But even if there's, we will eventually get to the point where there is a reset. So the question is, when is the reset? Is it at the end of this particular universal cycle? Probably. But it's also possible that there could be a cycle within a cycle, and many iterations of that, but eventually that would reset as well. So it just sort of depends on when there will be a reset. The question is just when. But it most likely, well, I mean, I wouldn't say most likely, but it's very possible that it could be at the end of this particular cycle. Just a minute, banning trolls. So distracting. All right, let's see. I'm glad you could catch one outdoor. MC Heavyset, thank you for the super chat. Says, I love you and your work. What is your favorite shape? Mine are pentagram and pentagons. Do you think those are empowering? My favorite shape? I don't know. I never really thought about what a favorite shape of mine would be. I think I'll have to get back to you on that because I've never considered a favorite shape. But yeah, the pentagram is actually really interesting. The pentagram, the Pythagoreans used to use the symbol of the pentagram to identify one another. So it was sort of their secret symbol, so that Pythagoreans would know who else was a Pythagorean and could show that symbol to understand it. And you have earth, air, wind, fire, and spirit being the different points of the pentagram. And there's also a ton of different fractal properties of the pentagram as well. So it is a very cool shape. Ruby Red, thank you for the super chat. Says, why are there so many signs and symbols in the media? Is that to wake us up? Well, okay, so
to join me to...
it's not all right. So are there some signs and symbols in the media? Yeah, sometimes there are. But I wouldn't let that stuff bother you or distract you, because some people just go totally overboard and they kind of go crazy. They kind of go nuts. They start seeing symbols and things everywhere. They get super paranoid. They think all that. So are there sometimes things in the media and all that? Yeah, there are. I mean, it's on the back of the dollar bill. On the back of, you got, you know, all these different Masonic symbols on the back of the dollar bill, and you know, it's kind of right in front of you. So yeah, there are some in the media, but it's nothing to really. It's not there to wake people up, or it's not really anything to worry about. I would not let anything like that bother you, because, like I said, a lot of people go way off the deep end on that sort of thing, and they get into conspiracy theories, and they start seeing shapes everywhere. You know, they start reading into things too much. They start thinking that everything is a sign, and they just start, you know, kind of losing it. So it can be a very big distraction. So, you know, I mean, it can be interesting, but if it's something that gives you anxiety, you know, don't let it bother you. Don't let it. It's nothing to stress about. If you know, it may. So, I mean, yeah. HB2 Dixon, thank you so much for the awesome super chat, HB2. I really appreciate that. Thank you, my friend.
Do you believe God
Thank you so much.
Came out of the multiverse? Do you believe God's services came out of the multiverse?
Greg says it's more people trying to take advantage and get people talking about it, stuff with the symbols. Yeah, it's one of those things where it does more harm than good. Like and a lot of the people who do that are assholes, and they are very okay with deceiving people or messing with people. So, you know, I'm opposed to that. I don't like that. I don't like those methods. I don't like that sort of thing. So I think it does a lot more harm than good. So it's like I said, a lot of people who put those symbols and stuff in there, they're assholes. Not always, but usually. So I wouldn't let it bother you, and, you know, try not to. Some people just get consumed by that sort of thing. They start seeing things everywhere, like, oh my god, my TV changed to channel 666, and then I saw, you know, a pyramid in the background of the news show, and yeah, just don't let that stuff. Don't worry about it. Like, honestly, it's just not worth the time to waste energy on it. But yeah, I think you get the point. Mr. Monster, thank you for the super chat. Says, when you get the time, you should totally check out Get Rid of Easter on YouTube. Okay. Alright. I'll Get Rid of Easter on YouTube. Alright, I'll try and check that out. The Spells Moon, thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate that. 2 super chats from Spells Moon. It's a nice name. I like that. Spells Moon. Thank you so much. Michshell Urema, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. Have I ever messed around with cymatics? I actually have a cymatic machine that I've been meaning to make a video about for a long time. Thank you again for another super chat, Spells Moon. Appreciate it. Yeah, so cymatics are... I've been meaning to do a video about cymatics. And I have... It's right... You can't see it, but I have a closet in here with a cymatic device in it. I've never used it, though, because... I didn't have time to make the video, but I've been meaning to. It just can get kind of messy because you have to use, the sand. But anyway, yeah, maybe one of these days. Maybe one of these days we can do it during a live stream, but I don't know. I'd have to get a second camera to do that. Yeah, maybe. I want to get this book done so we can do interesting things like that. To figure this out. Oh well. I mean, it's going well. I just want it to go faster. It's going really well. Let's see. Cybersonic, I think I have a couple videos on some of my report. Alright, if you're just joining us, don't worry, you're not too late. We haven't started today's main topic yet. We're talking about the hidden truth about sacred geometry. What is sacred geometry? Are you guys ready for the main topic? Should we start it, or do we have more questions? By the way, I stream to both Facebook and YouTube at the same time, so if you're watching on Facebook, please share this video. Wow, we're at 99 shares on Facebook. That's awesome. Let's go for 150. That's great, though. And if you're watching on YouTube, remember I look at the chat on both YouTube and Facebook. If you're watching on YouTube, do me a favor, hit the like button, because again, I see the analytics, and I see that there are quite a few of you who have not hit like yet, and that just makes me so sad. So, close the live chat for just a minute, hit the like button, then bring the live chat back up, because it spreads the video around, tells people I'm live, and then more people will come in. Let's see.
Well, sorry about God's momentum.
Alright, I think that we're about ready for today's topic. I believe so. We have a lot to talk about today. Man, I'm going to have a hard time keeping this video to a reasonable time because there's so much to say. Thank you for another super chat, Spells Moon. I mean, I care. I just don't know what you would like me to do about it. I mean, that's cool, but I don't think I can. I don't think there's anything I can do about such a thing. Let's see. All right. Okay. God, where are we gonna? I'm just trying to strategize on how to do this in the most effective way possible so that I just don't go on for a long time because there's so many things I want to talk about. I suppose, yeah, I guess it would be helpful to have a picture of the platonic solids as well, since probably some people are not familiar with that. Let me bring a picture up. Alright, let's do this. Let's talk about today's topic. Should I use the bathroom? Should I do that before we start? Probably should, huh? Because it's going to be annoying. Alright, fine. I'll go use the bathroom, and then we'll start today's topic. Because I don't want to have to pee in the middle of talking about sacred geometry. So, be right back.